things and such. And I'm just really, really happy to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and just, take over the mantle because we seem to be having some technical difficulties. But at the same time, we do have a message and it does need to be heard. All right. Can the church say amen?
Amen.
So, once again, happy birthday, Dora. I want to be messy and ask how old you are, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that to you. I ain't going to do it.
I'm proud of my age. I am 41.
41. Well, they say black don't crack. Very good, very good, very good. Well, I'm 21. I'll be 22 this year. Say something. I want y'all to say something. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to pose this question to Aisha, who we welcomed back with open arms because you have a powerful, powerful, powerful message, and you bring so much life and light to this forum. I want to ask you, like, what is life like now for you versus when you were in the midst of your drug addiction?
Thank you for having me back. For me, it's very different. Back then, when I was battling my drug addiction, I was clouded, I was blinded, I was a little more naive, didn't understand how people really act. I was just like green or dumb to it. But versus today, I am level-headed. I can think very clearly, and I can see right through a person like it's nothing. And I don't know, and it's just I've gotten so strong now that I have been able to battle. I'm still battling today, and it's just it makes it much more easier to battle today. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I can identify with that. Definitely. I mean, it's like if I hadn't been through what I've been through, then going through what I'm going through now in today's day and age probably would have broke me, Kind of like the kids nowadays wouldn't know the first thing about one of them little phones where you got to put your finger in the hole and then run it around and then it go right back. They don't know what that is. Milan, hello, beautiful. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. So, if you need me to repeat the question, I will.
Yes, go ahead. Repeat it for me.
For sure. What is life like for you now versus when you were living in your drug addiction?
Well, the first thing is I don't have to do something strange for some change right about now.
That part.
But, yeah, versus then and now, I have to say now I'm not as mad at my past because now I know I went through everything I went through for me today to help others. So that's the biggest difference. Yeah. And we'll go into
Okay, Dora, how was life like for you now versus when you were in your drug addiction?
Well, the difference is you have a little more finances than you used to, and
Boom.
you're able to do things that you should do for yourself and the things that you want to do for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll go ahead and answer that question. So the biggest difference that I notice in my life now versus then is my moral compass. It looks like you're back, Regina. I see you. It's my moral compass. Like now I actually have conviction before I do something that I know I'm not supposed to do, or before I tell that lie that I know I'm not supposed to tell. And I use the term conviction on purpose because I don't deal in guilt. I got high over guilt. Guilt kept me high. So now I deal with conviction because conviction keeps me from doing the things in which I'll probably feel guilty about later. So I would have to say a multitude of things, but that the most significant is my moral compass. Regina, are you available? You're on mute.
Yes, I am, and I apologize. We were having a little small technical difficulty that I had to pull together really quickly. Me right now versus the past, it's a 360. I'm an entirely different person. So when people say that you're not a lot of people like to say you are you when you're going through these things, but honestly, no, you're not. You're not you. You're not who you were born. You're not walking in your greatness. You're not who you were born to be. You're not your normal self. When you are on drugs, it alters who you are. You become another person. And so for me, then versus now, I am an entirely different person. And I have to agree with you, Colleen, because it's my moral compass that has changed. That has changed in so many different ways. And so morally, there's things that I will not do that I did back then. And so it's been a complete and absolute change since back then. Now the struggle is still the same because there's always going to be that struggle. But as far as back then and back now, I have made a complete 360.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Regina. So Milan, I'm gonna bounce back to you. So, you got some years in some clean time, So I listen to you. I hang on your every word because you're a predecessor of mine, like I want what you have. I want that serenity. I want that, the more clean time I get, the more I want, So I just wanted to take the opportunity to commend you on doing the next right thing and staying clean no matter what, not getting high even when you want to. But I did want to ask you, why do you think there is such a high accidental death or overdose rate with individuals who participate in recreational drugs?
Honestly, I think it's because of the choice of drug today that's going around. Back in my day, it was coke. Snorting coke and stuff. Nowadays, they're doing needles, heroin, mollies. It's just so many drugs that are made from home. I believe that's a big part of the issue as well. But I just think drug choice because I just can't see the folks in my day. We weren't going to stick no needles up our arms. We just weren't going to do that. Yeah. And that's all you see now in the Black community, and it's growing. The number of people that are getting on these drugs is growing, and I'm really like, wow, where did this come from? How did this happen?
Absolutely. Aisha?
Well, for starters, I think by them just wanting to get high so bad, they don't care where they would get it from. And you never know. They're not scientists or anything. So they're using these drugs that they don't even know what people are giving them. Just because one drug can make one person feel a certain type of way, it might kill you, it's the bodies you have to recognize that the bodies are different, that all things that going into your body is just not good. And so I can see that a way where the rate will be higher. And also accidental. Let me tell you this little story about me, because sometimes it's just not even the drug. It is the drugs because it is the cause of the drug. I was getting high. So as I was getting high, it's like I began to it felt like I was beginning to overdose. But all that time that I was getting high, I never felt anything. So in that moment, it just hit me. And once it hit me, it's like I thought I was gonna die. I couldn't breathe. I just started running without regards to those cars that were driving down that street. And I ran. I could have gotten hit by that car. I just jogged across the street. Am I off mute?
Yeah.
Oh, I jogged across that street without regards to anything moving or anything. I remember jumping over a car. Because I could not stop, because I feel like I was about to die. I knew at that moment I was just overdosing. I did too many. And so accidental and overdosing, yes. Those way I can see those rates could be increased.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dora, what's your take on that? On why do you think there are so many overdoses and deaths, accidental deaths, with recreational drugs?
I would say because the pressure is different from, you know, back then when things were easier and drugs were actually real. And people are going through more, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. So before I bounce this off of Regina, I'm going to chime in. So I personally think, and based off of, okay, so I'm a research buff. You know what I mean? Like I like stats, I like statistics, I like numbers, I like to know things. You know, especially when it's something pertaining to addiction because it's such a major part of my life. Um, I think a lot of the accidental deaths and a lot of the overdoses is a direct result of the high recidivism that we have in our communities with the people going in and out of jail. Um, Most people that do drugs are usually in and out of jail, especially in today's day and age. And a lot of times, I believe what happens is people go to jail for 6 months or a year and they get out of jail and try to get high the same amount that they used to before they went to jail, and it kills them or they overdose because for one, it's different. It's different. The fentanyls and the, you know, I don't want to name call drugs because I don't want to trigger anybody, but you know, it's just different. Um, and your tolerance level, it took a while. It takes a while to build up to certain levels, and you get out of jail and you do the same thing, and it just, you know, I think that has a lot to do with it. Regina, what are your thoughts regarding that? You're still on mute, love.
Okay. For me, I actually think that back when we were getting high back in the day, we had morals still. We still were concerned about what people thought about us. We still were concerned with how far we needed to go. We still were concerned about how we looked, how we dressed, you know, how we carried ourselves. And I think now people don't care. And it's harsh to say it like that, but a lot of people just don't care. They feel that everything is fine as long as they're getting high. So I think back then we were a lot more worried about what people said. And then back then it was more of a party thing. Now people are getting high to be high.
Mhm.
And not saying we didn't experience this, because when you get addicted, you get addicted. But my thing is, I feel like back then, we really got high to party. And we wanted to have fun with one another. But it got to a point to where people wanted to just be high. So the partying and the hanging out and the being with, you know, others was less important. So it was just the high, high, high. And that's when people start moving on to harsher drugs. See, I was never going to put a needle in my arm. I was never going to put a crack pipe to my mouth. Because there were certain things that I just, no, I'm not doing that now. You know, I didn't even know about crystal meth. I heard about it, but I didn't know about that type of stuff. So, you know, as the drugs started growing, it got heavier and it got heavier and it got heavier. And I just thank God that I got out when I did, because you know, that was.
Yeah, absolutely. So I also wanted to take the opportunity to invite any of our viewers to chime in if they have any questions regarding addiction and, you know, how we made it through, or, you know, anything, any comments. Please comment, and one of the ladies here will chime in and let it be known I'm not actually on the live, so I can't see it. I also wanted to say that this line of questioning was chosen to let the person that is still struggling know that there is a then versus now if you give yourself the opportunity to grow.
Okay,
You know,
let me say, let me say something really quickly. Amaya's on, and Amaya is not, she was never addicted to drugs. So Amaya is on to be the objective. She's able to let us know her input from the outside, from the outside looking in. So she can kind of, the question that we all just answered, she can enlighten us on what she sees and what she feels, just her perception.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amaya, my name is Kareem. Welcome.
Nice to meet you, Kareem. How are you?
Nice to meet you too. I'm well. So we were just basically asking then versus now questions, and I think it's very good. I'm happy to have you because it'll give us, those that are in the mix, the opportunity to know exactly what is being thought of. A pure, sincere thought, not a "you stole my stuff, I hate you" type of thought. Because that's usually the thoughts we hear. But as an outsider, non-biased, looking in, you're valued on this panel. Welcome.
Right.
So I did pose the question, so I guess I'll go ahead and do a recap. One of the questions that I don't really think is applicable for you or your point of view is what is life now like now. So I'll just go ahead and skip to the next one. Why do you think that there is such a high accidental death or overdose rate with individuals who participate in recreational drugs?
I don't know anybody who's personally passed from that. However, living in Atlanta, you do see that drug use is like a big deal. I honestly feel like people are doing it to cope with other personal things. A lot of people are doing it because of popularity or because of the people that they are around. And then often it is also peer pressure, I guess, to fit in society. So that would probably be the reasons why I could see it happening. I really, personally, I don't know what would push someone to do that. But I've been out in Atlanta. Everybody knows that it's common to do drugs. So people will ask you without any problem. But for myself, I just always decline because that's just never been my thing. Not to mention, I'm just a woman who's always had her own mind, and I kind of flow the way I want to flow. But I'm really not sure. That is a good question, though. A lot of times, I'm assuming that it's either peer pressure or, they may have someone around who's like, well, girl, just try it for once. It's cool, and then, of course, we all know what that leads to. So,
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I will say for me, you hit the nail on the head because a lot of why I got high was to escape living life on life's terms, right?
Right.
So I definitely. And if I can ask you a personal question,
sure.
What is it that keeps you from getting high? Because as I said, where you were, that's to me, that's party central, and it's got to be around you. And aside from you having your own mind, what is the moral behind you not getting high? Is it because you don't want the feeling, or?
In order to say you don't want the feeling, I feel like you have to have the feeling, or to have had experienced it. However, I think, I think it also goes back to just your family. I don't have any family members who actually participate in recreational drug use. Like, I've never grown up seeing, how, I don't want to say like crackhead, but how you always have that one family member who's either a drunk or a heavy drug user. I don't know if it's because of my Haitian heritage or whatever. I've never had that in my family or grew up seeing that. I never really saw heavy drug use until I moved to Atlanta, to be honest. The only drug that I knew about was weed. So honestly, as of recently is when I learned about these other different drugs. But for myself, I kind of I know who I am. I kind of feel like I have a face in this community and a voice and representation. So I've just always been careful as to how I was perceived from the outside looking in, especially with me being a pageant girl, a YouTuber and a trans advocate, I just always wanted to show a different side of what is assumed of the trans community, because often it's known that trans women do this, they do that. A lot of them may participate in coke and all these other different things. And it's just like, yes, I am trans. Yes, I'm a trans woman of color, but those things aren't the face of all trans women. And I kind of just strive myself on constantly just making sure that I do not fit the stereotypical idea of what someone perceives a trans woman to be. So maybe that has always kept me from it. I mean, I drink and hang out with my girlfriends and stuff, but I don't know why nothing has ever tempted me to do drugs. And not to mention the people that I hang around have never partaken in drugs. I don't have anything against people who do, but I've just never been around that circle or atmosphere, aside from being in a club and seeing somebody having it in the bathroom. I've just never seen that or had it around me and my circle.
Okay, absolutely. So and it's obvious that our peers play a big part in
Yes,
you know
they do.
what we do, and yeah, the company we keep. Definitely. Thank you for that. So I'm going to come back over to Milan. And Milan, so what has your biggest challenge been now versus then? Like, what were your challenges then? What was your biggest challenge then when you were in the midst of your addiction? And what is it now?
Well, the biggest challenge back then was self-love. You know, I put on this era as if I was just so in love with myself, but really I was hurting. Versus now, I really have a chance to love myself, and I feel like I have a reason to love myself, and I'm actually proud of myself finally. You know, so that's what it is for me, it's self-love.
Okay. And now?
Me?
No, she ain't done. She ain't done.
Oh, I'm
She
sorry.
gave me the then. What's the now?
The now is the self-love.
Okay. Okay, so it's the same. Okay, I got you. Regina.
My then is I didn't love myself then. So that was a huge challenge. I did not love myself. I experienced a lot of stuff at a young age that a child shouldn't experience, such as abuse and stuff. And so I hated a lot of things that took place from my childhood. So as a young adult, growing into womanhood, I had a lot of hatred in my heart. And I didn't quite know how to embrace me. I did do the things that I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to embrace myself. And now I love myself with my whole entire heart. And I care about the decisions that I make. And I care about how I'm perceived. And I care about other people. So I want to be a help and a hand and a servant to people that went through some of the things that I went through as a child. Because unbeknownst to a lot of you, there's a lot of people who are experiencing what I experienced as a child at a large level. You know, I don't know if you pay attention to the news and articles, but I'm really big on like zooming in on certain articles, and there is so many children being abused. There's so many children being killed, beaten, committing suicide. It's at an all-time high. And it's really sad, and it bothers me. It really does, it bothers me. But my challenge from then versus now is that now I love myself, and I will not allow myself to get so removed from loving myself again to where I take my life and it goes to shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Regina. Birthday girl,
Yes.
what are some of your biggest challenges now? And what was some of your biggest challenges then? Then first.
Now and then. Well, biggest challenges I would say then were like everyone else said, is your self-love level. You not, not caring about yourself and not caring about, you know, things you do. And like with me, I had a problem dealing with loneliness and not having anyone to really talk to because I didn't have a lot of friends. So when you kind of like desperate for some kind of attention, it causes you to put yourself with sometimes the wrong people because you think they're for you. You want, that attention for somebody so bad. That's what I went through personally. And I found out that a lot of people wasn't my friends who introduced me to certain things that were bad in my life. I would say the challenges now that I go through is keeping a positive um, atmosphere up with yourself so you won't fall back into your past, and caring about what people think about you. A lot of people don't care about what people think, and I just think that's kind of wrong because if you don't care about what people think about you, you'll do anything. You know, you want to be looked at in a positive light and you want to have a good name. So if you care about what people think about you, you'll do everything you can to keep a good name.
True enough. True enough. Good point. Good point. Aisha. Aisha.
It yes, it was basically the same for me. For me, feeling a sense of belonging, and I didn't feel a part. I didn't exactly know who I was or what the hell I was, but I just knew I wanted a little love. I wanted for people to accept me, and I wanted to be visible. I wanted to be known. So that was a big struggle for me. It was hard because I was rejected a lot. It started off early on when I was in school, of course, and that sense of rejection, it didn't sit well with me. I said to myself, I was going to make myself relevant, somebody. Versus now, I've pretty much overcame just what I was searching for. And, I fought really hard. This has been like 30 something years plus. And I've been fighting that long. So now, I guess I was doing some things right because I have a lot of people today, they look up to me. They will come to me for advice or whatnot. And, they share their stories. I think they're thinking that I'm this old bitch that I know everything, but I don't. I still struggle and I have my problems too. But it got better in time. So that was for me.
Okay. Okay. So for me, I would have to say one of the biggest challenges for me back then was, and to thine own self be true, it was getting high. You know what I mean? Because that's all I cared about was getting high. I mean, I don't know about you all, and like Regina, you said back when you was getting high, y'all cared about what y'all looked like and all of that. There, I did too, but it was a little different because like I reduced myself to animalistic behaviors to get one more. Like I did whatever it took. You know what I mean? Like I went without taking showers for weeks on end. And everybody's bottom is different, but I have to be honest because maybe somebody on the other end of this screen might be able to identify and realize that they're not the only one that went weeks without taking a shower or ran the street so hard that I could peel the socks off of my feet. You know what I mean? Like I had to peel the socks off of my feet because all I cared was to get high. You know what I mean? And I panhandled. I walked the streets day and night. I was homeless. You know what I mean? Nobody wanted me around. So my biggest challenge back then was just getting one more. Just getting one more. Now, my biggest challenge is not taking on too much. You know, because now that I actually have become a productive member of society, now that I wash my ass every day, now that I have, you know, a closet full of clothes, you know what I mean? It's and you know, I have a job and I have a source of income and you know, people like me, they actually care about what I have to say. I I challenge my biggest challenge is taking on too much responsibility just from home life to work life. You know what I mean? I just think I can do it all because staying clean has showed me that I'm capable of completing some stuff, you know. So once I figured that out, I want to do it all, you know. So that would be like my biggest challenge today is just kind of trying to keep a balance in what I take responsibility for. So Amaya, I do want to ask you, since you how long have you been in Atlanta?
Um, September will make 5 years.
Okay, so you've been there for a little while. You're an Atlantean. How do you say it?
I think that's correct.
Okay. Okay. So, you know, have you I know that you said like with your Haitian back upbringing that it wasn't in your household per se, but surely the circles around your circles, you've seen drug use, you've seen people in the midst of their addiction. Have you had the experience of seeing a person go from recreational use to being totally dependent on it,
Um,
where it just like
I I honestly can't say that I have. I mean, I know of a few people in the pageantry world or maybe ballroom that has either talked about doing cocaine, as I guess you know. But other than that, I've never like really seen to where someone was solely dependent on a drug and like willing to do whatever they needed to do in order to feel that feeling or get rid of take care of that itch that was in them. But I've honestly never seen it with my own eyes, only like on TV and stuff like that.
okay.
So I mean, I've heard of it, of stories of either friends having friends who couldn't shake something, but me seeing it with my own eyes, I have yet to see that. And then I think also if it was someone in my circle, and I care a lot about the people that I am around. So I think before it even got to that point, I would somewhat intervene or do whatever I needed to do to keep them from getting to that point. I mean, at least that's what I think friends are initially for, not to either turn their shoulder on you or encourage you to engage into something that's clearly tearing you apart.
Absolutely. 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 You know, I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking about how blessed you are um, to not have had to be in that environment. You know what I mean? And no
Mm.
shade, like honestly, you know what I mean? Like it's a true blessing
Well, when
to
I
not.
first moved, I'm sorry, when I first moved, well, so I'm known in the pageantry community, but when I first said that I was going to move here, I remember a lot of people saying, well, be careful or don't get caught up in with the wrong people because, the girls will go to Atlanta and get turned out and this and that. So I kind of already had been forewarned what could possibly be in Atlanta. Because it's the difference from you visiting and then you actually living there. So I won't say that I was looking out for it, but I mean, I already know in my mind that, okay, Atlanta is a bit crazy, especially for girls like myself. But once again, like I also knew too that I kind of have my own mindset. No one can like push me to do something that I did not want to do. And
Mhm.
that's just something I've always stuck with. So like I can be around people who are engaged in other different activities and it just would not affect me because I know that I can be friends with you or converse with you and not take who you are or what you do and engage in. Not take that home with me. Like, I know how to separate myself from what others are doing and still maintain some type of friendship.
Absolutely. So, Dora, yes or no answer. Do you have someone in your immediate family that was addicted to drugs or alcohol that you've actually witnessed? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Regina, same question. Do you have someone in your in your immediate family that was a drug or addict or alcoholic that you witnessed? I can't hear you.
I would have to say no, because
Okay.
I knew like my grandfather drank, but I never grew up around anybody who was a drug addict or any of that. And like
Okay.
Aja met me when she was going to the University of Florida. She knew I was one of the ones that everybody thought was going to be the most likely to succeed. So it was never, how I turned out was never in the cards. The drugs didn't never, like I had to tell them the things that I went through. They would never have believed that.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. Milan, how about you?
Yes, my mother.
Okay. So I wanted to say that to say I asked that question because a lot of people say that addiction can have some hereditary effects, and a lot of people also tend to think that you're an addict because, like, my father is an addict. My father, it's funny because my father has 90 days clean now and finally has a place to live for the first time in over 30 years.
Oh,
My
wow.
biological father. Yeah, not the man that raised me that my mother's married to, but my father. And yeah. So anyway, before I start crying and all that good stuff, um, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, whether you've seen it firsthand or I think it's more of an internal thing. I think it's more of a self acceptance thing. I think it's more of a stability thing, like a mental stability. Like you said, Amaya, you have your mind made up. You know what I mean? You pretty much know what you want. And I think it does have a lot to do with your upbringing. Well, I can only speak for me. I think it has a lot to do with my upbringing. Even though my father was an addict, my mother would not let me talk bad about him. My mother would not talk bad about him. My mother would say, "That's your father. You will love him. He's sick," so on and so forth. So I just wanted to just make that known that whether you grew up with an immediate family member that got high or you didn't, you're still, that word "yet" means you're eligible too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that you actually joined the forum today, Amaya. I really am, because it gives us an insight. Because I know me personally, I can get warped in my mind because I am an addict, and because I don't fit recovery into my life. I fit my life around my recovery. So a lot of
Right.
most of my conversation is about recovery. All of my friends are in recovery because I'm a few bad decisions away from getting high again.
Right.
So, ladies, is there any comments on the live that somebody may have said anything, any questions or anything like that? I'm not on. I guess I need to be on.
I see a few. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Okay. Paige Mahogany Park says the drugs are tainted more now than back in the day. You don't know what you are getting these days just to get high. And what demographic of folks suffer the most from drugs? That's the question she asked. What demographics of folks suffer most from drugs?
I don't know.
Now, for me, and what I see, I would say African Americans. When you go to the hood, when you go to the corner stores, when you ride through desolate areas with the homeless. I work in a homeless shelter. So therefore, there's always a bigger amount of African Americans than any other race. When I'm participating with Alcohol Anonymous, there's always been a bigger demographic of African Americans, as far as what I've saw.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but yes, I feel like the age demographic as well, more like, you know, the 40 to the 60 age, I had to go up some, 40 to the 60 age, I think they are affected more because they didn't know, they didn't have someone pushing to help them to, you know, to tell them what drugs was. But today it's more people out there that have already been through stuff to educate them on the effects of the drugs. So that's how I feel.
Okay, so I done told y'all I'm a number buff, right? I told y'all I like statistics and that there. So 64% holds the largest amount of demographically. It's 64% is Hispanic and Latino women, actually, hold the highest number of diversity when it comes to drugs and alcohol addiction. It goes on to say 13% is I just wanted to make sure the dates was right. Okay, so this is based off of the Census Bureau in 2019. But this breaks it down of approximately 40 million Hispanic, Latino people living in the United States and its territories. Mexican Americans are the largest group, 64%, followed by Puerto Ricans, which is 10%, Central and South Americans, 13%, Cubans, 4%, and other Hispanic and Latino. So this focused on the Hispanic and Latino. They hold the highest percentile in drug and alcohol addiction, which I'd have never guessed.
I wouldn't either. I'm trying to see, I guess because we're so accustomed to seeing, like Ms. Hattie said, like us going to the corner store and seeing a local drunk Black man sitting in front of the store, or, you know, drug users. But then again, we don't live in the Hispanic community, so we wouldn't even see that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I think, we only see what we're around.
Yeah.
We only see what we're around. And, you know, when you're in the hood, you might see that them 2 or 3 white people that come through because they know the good dope is off of 16th and Myrtle, you know. But to us, it looks like we suffer more because, you know, but then again, I have my thoughts about that because, you know, the crack epidemic was, you know, a criminal thing, but the heroin epidemic was a health crisis, you know, so it's treated different in different communities, and we're not even gonna go there. But yeah. So Natalia, I would like to turn the floor over to you, since you have been kind enough to actually form this whole panel and bring us in the mix.
Okay. I would just like to first and foremost say I enjoyed this panel tonight. I had a few technical difficulties in the beginning that won't happen again because we basically ironed all the kinks out. It was just that being that it was our first week with them ironed out, I still pushed a button or 2 wrong. So I have it the next time. But I just appreciated having Amaya amongst us because she hasn't partaken in drugs, but just having her to give her input from the outside looking in, because it's not often that you have that. It's not often that you can have the opinion of someone who's never experienced it, because everybody that we've had on the panel so far have all experienced it. So it's just always amazing to have someone who haven't, just to give their input, and to see what kept them, straight all those years. So as we're closing out, I just want everybody to say a little something. Milan, I was interviewing you earlier on Transgrio. And I definitely hope that you get some feedback from your presentation tonight, which was amazing.
Thank you.
What would you like to say tonight before we leave out?
I just want to tell everyone just to always go for it. Stop doubting yourself. Stop putting this off. Stop putting that off, and just go for it. And that's what all I'm going to say. Just go for it.
I agree. Dora, it's your birthday tonight, and I know you've had a trying week. The devil has been busy, but you already know.
I'm a survivor. And it was even kind of difficult situation today, but to God be the glory. I'm thankful to be 41 years old. I know that I'm not supposed to be 41 years old. And
you're supposed to be. Let me stop you. Let me stop you real quick. Oh yeah, you're supposed to be 41 years old.
I wasn't supposed to make it to be 41 years old.
Yeah, because God got a whole different plan than you got.
Yeah.
You got a whole different plan. So yeah.
In my mind, I ain't 41. But I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the knowledge that we get in these panel conversations. And I'm grateful that is, touching other people, and even touching ourselves in different situations. And thank you everyone for the birthday wishes. God bless you all. Thank you.
Happy birthday, sweetheart.
Aja?
I just want to say, believe in yourself. All things are possible. God did not put you here for you to suffer, that all things get better. I mean, once you hit bottom, it's nowhere but up. And, I just want, for you, Miss Lady, I want to know, when are you going to invite us to your next group? I want to visit your group. I want to see what you guys do. I want to sit in one day. We will come. I'm not Mulan. I'm not Mulan. I'll be there. But yeah. And one more question. Is anyone plugged into the INMAC conference that they're having at the end of the month?
I think it's virtual.
Yes.
Yes, I'll be a part of the INMAC.
Okay, yeah. Okay. This question now.
Yeah. Amaya.
I just want to commend you all on sharing your story. I feel like that's a huge deal, and not many people are willing to even put themselves out on the line. I think the first step is admitting it. That's always the first step to getting the help that you need, and obviously all of you are way ahead of that. So I definitely commend you all for that. And just also inviting me on here to get my perspective. I really appreciate that you guys even value my opinion. Like I said, I don't have much experience with it, but I have seen it from a distance. And you never know like who you may touch with sharing your story and who you are inspiring tonight. To just, walk away and really love on themselves and do what's best for you. Also, happy birthday to Dora. You do not look 41, so that's definitely like a blessing right there. And I just hope that you all continue to be on the path of doing what's best for you. Ultimately, like anything that you do obviously shouldn't be for anybody else. It should be totally on what's best for you. So if walking in the opposite direction of drugs or anything is good for you, then so be it. That's what you should do. So I just commend all of you. Like, not many people can sit up here today and say that, like Dora mentioned, she wasn't supposed to see 41. I mean, God has the final say, so obviously that's why you are here. But so many people don't have that opportunity to say that, especially in our community. So you just have to take it for what it is and always love yourself first.
Thank very much.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoy your birthday.
I plan to.
Colleen, close us out.
So, okay. So you ladies already know that I feel like it's a privilege to be invited into your circle and to give my experience, strength, and hope to this forum. If I could leave anything with the viewers, I would just leave what I always leave. You don't ever have to get high, even when you want to. You don't have to. The people that you see on this forum right now are living in the freedom of that. And the same thing is available to you all. I am an addict. I am a lot closer to my next high than I am from my last one. Like Regina says, it's a struggle every day, but every day it gets a little bit easier because I have things behind me to solidify my going forward. One day clean is a lot longer than 4 years, not the other way around.
Yes, it is.
So I just implore you all to just continue to give yourselves a chance. We didn't become addicted in one day. So remember, easy does it. Don't wait for your family members to solidify you wanting to make a change. They've heard it all before. They're not going to say, yay, let's do this, a lot of times. But you have to pat yourself on the back and say, I got 24 hours clean and I can get another 24 and I can get another 24. And before you know it, our families will recover as well if given the capacity to. But don't look to them. You pat yourself on the back and you reach out. One more thing. If you don't tell anybody where you are, nobody can come and get you. So speak. Your voice is your power. Speak. I also leave, contact information. NA.org is a website that you can anonymously log on to if you're looking for help with drug and alcohol addiction. NA.org. You can find meetings. You can call a helpline. The help is out there. There's suicide prevention, and there's all types of meetings for gay, lesbian, transgender. All of that is on NA.org. I implore you to just reach out if you don't want your face to be seen, but you want the help. NA.org. Thanks for letting me share.
And I just want to say I thank you all for joining us on this panel. I thank you all for speaking your truth, being honest, being upfront, and just being authentic and raw with your stories. I appreciate it so much on so many different levels. I appreciate each and every one of you. We will be back next month. We'll be a little bigger and we'll be a little better and we'll have somebody else. But tonight was beautiful. Thank you so much, Amaya. Thank you so much for finding us. Beautiful. And next month, we will have the beautiful Aja Brooks hosting. So we will be sending her script and she will be hosting for us on next month. Dora, again, I'd like to wish you happy birthday. As your mother, I pray for you nightly. You'll get a little birthday love from me really, really soon. We'll speak later. But I love each and every one of you on so many levels. Y'all just don't know. I handpicked you all for reasons. And even when I pick my special guests, I pick them for different reasons because these are people that are very special to me and mean a lot to me. So I love you all and
love you too. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Love you.